Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Words of Wisdom. They lied, sabotaged me. Now watch me fucking win. You guys, there came a moment in my life when I realized I wasn't giving up. I was finally choosing myself. For years, I poured love into people who only knew how to take. I gave grace where I received disrespect. I offered loyalty where I received betrayal. I extended kindness, patience, understanding, and compassion to people who mistook every one of those qualities for weakness. But that's okay. That was my mistake. I've learned that. I've learned that now. I thought having a good heart would inspire others to have one too. Instead, some people saw my kindness as an invitation to manipulate me. But what I didn't realize at the time was I wasn't dealing with just one toxic person. I was trapped in a toxic relationship with an entire community, an entire circle of people who seemed invested in keeping me small. Okay? People who didn't want to see me heal. They didn't want to see me grow. They didn't want to see me succeed. They didn't want me to find peace, happiness, and certainly didn't want me to find the kind of love I deserved. Man, the more I look back, the more I realize there were people around me who benefited from my pain. People who wanted me exhausted, confused, questioning myself, settling for less, and staying in cycles that I had already outgrown. Some smiled in my face while secretly going against me, right? Some spread lies, created division, sabotaged opportunities, and sending every form of negative energy and ill will they possibly could behind the scenes. But what they didn't understand is that God had already placed his hand over my life. So while they were plotting, I was praying. While they were gossiping, I was healing. While they were trying to break me, I was being rebuilt. Okay? You know, some of the biggest revelations of my life didn't come through conversations. They came through dreams, intuition, and spiritual downloads. Through moments of clarity that arrived when everything around me was silent. Every time I asked for guidance, answers showed up. Every time I felt attacked, I prayed harder. Every time I felt drained, I cleansed my energy, protected my peace, and strengthened my connection with God. The very things that were supposed to destroy me became the things that awakened me. And that's when everything changed. I stopped many things, trying to save people who were committed to misunderstanding me, rebuilding bridges that led nowhere, begging for honesty from people who were comfortable lying, right? Shrinking myself to make insecure people feel better, carrying relationships that only existed because I was doing all the damn work. And I walked away, not because it was easy, but because it was necessary. Walking away felt like grieving people who were still alive. It felt like mourning versions of relationships I kept hoping would exist. It hurt. It really did. But staying would have cost me my soul. So I chose myself. I chose peace, healing, growth. I chose God. And once I made that decision, everything started shifting. I became disciplined, focused, intentional. I stopped chasing validation and started building value. I invested in my future, my health, my purpose, my mindset, my spirit. I became obsessed with becoming the person I was always meant to be. And the more I evolved, the more uncomfortable certain people became. Because growth exposes people. Your healing becomes a mirror. Your success becomes a reminder. Your courage becomes proof that excuses were never the answer. The people who wanted me stuck couldn't understand why I kept rising. The people who tried to discredit me couldn't understand why others were beginning to see the truth. Those who lied about me couldn't understand why their stories stopped working. Because truth has a way of surfacing. Can I get an amen? Eventually, people began seeing things for what they were. The manipulation, the sabotage, the jealousy, the projections, the hidden agendas. The masks started falling. And suddenly, the same people who underestimated me became my biggest spectators. The same people who talked the loudest became silent. The same people who thought I would fail were forced to watch me thrive. Not because I got lucky, because I refused to quit, because I kept moving, because I kept believing, because I trusted God more than I trusted fear. Today, my life looks different. Not perfect, but peaceful. And peace is priceless. I am now surrounded by better energy, better opportunities, better connections, better alignment. I no longer chase people who don't choose me. I no longer fight for seats at tables where I'm not respected. I'm no longer entertaining relationships that require me to abandon myself. I've learned that some people don't miss you. They miss access to you. They miss your energy. They miss your loyalty. They miss the benefits of having you available whenever they needed something. But they never truly valued you. And once you recognize that, you stop feeling guilty for walking away. The chapter where I sacrificed myself to make other people comfortable is over. The chapter where I ignored red flags is over. The chapter where I settled for less than I deserved is over. The old version of me is gone, and she isn't coming back. I'm protecting my peace now. I'm honoring my intuition now. I'm trusting the signs now. I'm listening when God redirects me now. Because I've learned that every closed door isn't a punishment. Sometimes it's protection. Every betrayal isn't a loss. Sometimes it's a revelation. And every ending isn't destruction. Sometimes it's divine redirection. So if you're watching this or listening to this and you've been lied on, sabotaged, betrayed, isolated, underestimated, or made to feel like you're the problem for outgrowing toxic environments, hear me clearly. Keep going. Don't let their bitterness become your burden. Don't let their limitations become your ceiling. Don't let their opinions become your identity. You were never meant to stay stuck. You were never meant to live beneath your potential. You were never meant to spend your life carrying people who refuse to carry themselves. Your glow up begins the moment you stop asking for permission to become who God created you to be. And the biggest victory isn't proving them wrong. It's becoming so fulfilled, so healed, so aligned, and so at peace that their opinions no longer matter. That's the real win. And trust me, there's nothing more powerful than someone who survived everything designed to break them and still chose to rise. I love you to pieces. Like, share, and subscribe for others who need to hear this. God bless.